In this video, we finally get this 56 T-Bird in paint.
Thank you for watching the TDC Hot Rods YouTube channel.
Well, we got this 56 Ford T-Bird back in the shop. So, last thing I had ever done to it was we got it in primer. I have been waiting for parts for this thing for like a year and a half. Anyways, we finally got some stuff that we need, and we're still waiting for a bunch of other sills, but that stuff's supposed to be on its way. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing in some paint. So what we gotta start off doing is, I would like to start with the dash. So we're gonna come in here, it's already been primered. We're gonna come in here with 220. We're gonna block it out with 220, and then block the whole rest of the car with 220. I did notice after I primered it that I found a couple of little spots, and this one I had marked, I must have dropped something on there, I don't really know, but there's a little dent right there. So we're gonna come in here with 220, and then after it's sanded with 220, then if there's any other imperfections anywhere, we can fix it then before we wet sand it with 600. And wet sanding it with 600 will be the last step that I take before I paint it. Yeah, so I'm gonna come in here, and this trim piece here is not so easy to pull off. I talked to the owner of the car about it, and he's like, it's not an original car. Anyway, so we're just gonna mask it. We're just gonna mask that and anything that's on that. But as you can see, I pulled all the gauges out. I am going to probably undo this chrome trim there. So somebody at one point in time had rattle can black the bottom of the dash and the steering wheel, as you can see here. So, but we don't want that. We want that painted blue and this part painted blue. So I'm gonna come in here and start sanding. Oh, actually, at one point in time, this used to have like a fabric cover over it, and it didn't look good. It was all dried up and sun rotten and crappy. So the owner asked me to pull that off and just paint the dash. So that's what we're gonna start with, is that, and then we'll probably move back somewhere, start somewhere, we'll just start blocking out the whole car, and we'll see what it looks like after I get it blocked with 220 and see what we got to repair after that. So I'm gonna get to it. All right, so we got it all blocked out. We blocked it with 220. And as you can see, it was a little bit wavy, but it's super straight now. I did find a couple of low spots that didn't want to block out. So that's just glaze. That's just a really thin layer of glaze. Like, it's so thin that, especially these two, when I block those, they will most likely be transparent. That's how thin they are. So got a few spots over here. Also, I did find some spots, as you can see here, that I started going through. That's some old school DuPont primer right there, I'm pretty sure. So that's some 3K stuff. That's some old school good stuff. So anyways, what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna block out where I put the little bit of glaze, and then I'm gonna re-primer this thing. Probably won't primer all of it. I'm at least gonna primer all the spots that we're bleeding through. Primer over my glaze, and then I'll block those and hit this thing with 600 and put it in the spray booth. So I'm gonna let this stuff dry and get to blocking out the glaze. All right, we got some primer on it. We got primer put up here where I put a little bit of glaze, a little spot there that I now remember I forgot to guide coat. And then there was a little bit of glaze here, but I blended the primer back just so then when I block it out, it'll come out nicer. And then there were some bare metal spots back here that I primered over. Same with over here. And this one was kind of my fault. This high ridge, I rubbed through it. But we got it primered and guide coated. And one thing that I do for guide coat, like they make actual guide coat that you can either spray on or it's a powder that you can just dab on there. That stuff works great. And for some people, maybe that's what they need to use because they need to be able to start sanding immediately. I just go to like Walmart or wherever and buy the cheapest rattle can that I can in black, and I just use it. Yeah, you have to wait a little while for it to dry, but it's super cheap. You're gonna sand it off and it's gonna land on the floor anyways. So that's what I do. I like it, I've been doing it for years. It works really good. But, so now I was going to mention to you guys while I guess I primered over that spot, but let's go to this side. So, if you guys look here, this is primer, and then that's the old color because I did not strip this car down. And then like that little yellow dot there is primer underneath this color. So the only spots that I'm primering are spots that I either put glaze on or spots that were bare metal. You don't really ever want to spray paint over bare metal. Paint itself doesn't really adhere very good to bare metal. Primer, especially epoxy primers, is what's meant to adhere to bare metal. So you always want to primer over anything that is bare. I'm not primering over. I definitely, if this was going to be an absolute concourse, different kind of paint job, not what I call a facelift, then I primer over the whole entire car again. But where we're just seeing paint and other primers shown through there, after I put the epoxy, because I'm going to spray an epoxy sealer over this before I ever put paint on there, it's gonna look phenomenal and come out great. So just something to think about if you guys are working on your own stuff. Just make sure to put primer over all your bare metal spots. Yeah, anyways, so now we're gonna let this thing dry. I'm gonna let it dry for 4 hours or more. I may not even touch it until tomorrow, but then we'll come in here, we'll re-block it, and then hopefully that'll be good. We'll hit it with 600 and put this thing in the booth. So yeah, I'm gonna sit here and watch some paint dry. Ta-da! So we got it all wet sanded. There was a couple little spots there, and right here. So those, I'm actually gonna come in here with some epoxy. I'll barely even touch those. Put a light little coat on it, give it 20 minutes or so to dry, wet sand it, so then this little bit of filler has some coverage, will be golden. So then I'm gonna come in and mask everything all off. I do gotta paint the dash at the same time that I paint the outside of the car. We'll cover up the wheels, cover up the trunk space, the inside of the car, the seat area. Anyways, you get the idea. I'm gonna mask everything all off and get to spraying this thing. This has been years coming, so very, very excited. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do now, is I'm gonna get to painting this bad boy. All right, we got the old girl all masked up. Took a little bit to get it masked, but we got it. Took a minute to try to figure out how to do this because of how we gotta paint the dash. It's a little bit different than what I would normally do, but I think it's gonna work out great. I think it's gonna look awesome. So now, I'm gonna go ahead and put some color on this thing, and I'm gonna do it just like pretty much every other thing you guys have seen. There's already primer down. I'm gonna put sealer on it, and then after the sealer, this is just a single stage paint job, which means there's no clear coat on it. It's mixed in with the color. So then I'm gonna lay down the turquoise color, or forgot the name of it, but it's a blue. I'm gonna lay that down and we'll be done. So I'm gonna get to it. Well, this is a very, very exciting time. So, I think it's beautiful. What do you guys think? It's gorgeous. I do have a couple of little dirt specks in the dash that I'm not happy about, but it's single stage, so it wet sands and buffs real easy. So we'll get those out of there. But now we'll let this thing sit for a little bit, and then we can start putting it back together. But I think it's gonna look awesome. Very awesome. Anyways, just like always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really, truly do appreciate the support. And don't forget to like, comment, share, all the things that everybody else tells you to do. And yeah, anyways, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks again.